Moore's Home Health and Medical Supplies.
Yes.
Here based out of Kokomo.
We are celebrating our 70th anniversary in Kokomo this year. We started out as Moore's Rexall Drug on the corner of Markland and Cortland in 1955. We still sit on that corner. We share it with CVS now, but we've morphed over the years, but we're getting ready to celebrate what my grandparents started 70 years ago this late fall and into November.
So we're talking 3 generations.
3 generations, yes.
Of now, 3 generations. And so your grandparents' last name was Moore?
Moore, Don and Naomi Moore. Okay. So most people that have been in the community for a long time knew Don and Naomi. And then my mom's Janet Moore, who is their middle daughter. And she is a nurse, a retired nurse. And she sort of built that side of the business. It started in 1975 doing the home medical equipment and supplies that we do now. And she built it up from one little file folder of clients to an entire separate business, so that when Grandpa sold the pharmacy, it's been the standalone business like that since then.
That's so great. And so you've been serving the community a long time. And at 3rd generation, did they tie your hands up and say, you have to do this, Sarah?
No, actually, they were really supportive. For years, I swore I would never work in the family business. I wouldn't live in Kokomo, but you grow up and you learn, and I've lived elsewhere. And ultimately...
You come back and Kokomo's not all that bad.
No, it wasn't long. I went to college in Indianapolis, and then I lived in Germany for a year and realized that the community here is amazing. There's a lot of support. I know sometimes we have naysayers, and I usually say they're either not looking, not asking, they're just hiding on a computer. So I think we have a really strong community and love this community. And we're often told that people come from, up to 45, 50 minutes away because they aren't able to find what we offer anywhere else. So it's important to them that we do offer what we do.
That's a special thing to know, that when somebody shows up like that in your business, it's an honor.
It is.
It's a real honor. And we have people, we don't really have a ton of walk-in traffic at our company at Heritage, but when somebody comes in, I'm like, wow, like I want to go give them a t-shirt, like, hey, thanks for coming, right?
Absolutely.
It becomes a destination. But obviously you're selling stuff out of your store, but you can also order, can they order online?
We are working on that. That's kind of part of our big thing right now, is to move towards an online ordering platform. So definitely by the end of this year, but hoping a little bit sooner, where, we don't want to be shipping out to everybody. We want to focus on local, but they can order online, they can do local pickup. We do local deliveries. And if they're maybe just a little bit further, but still in our region, we can certainly make arrangements to ship things to them. But I want people to see a little bit more of what we have in the store, even if they aren't able to come in the store.
So it's good to come in and just check it out. So going back to kind of when your grandparents and your parents were running this store, or your mom or whatever, that's when you pass down, why did we start this thing? And so those core values, those mission statements, how did that pass, or not how, but what are those? What does that look like?
Community was at the top of my grandparents' list, was serving the community. They're transplants. They weren't from here originally. When Grandpa was ready to start a pharmacy, the Rexall Drug company line was looking for 2 locations, Kokomo, Indiana, or I think it was somewhere in Missouri. And their families were split between northern and southern Indiana, so Kokomo was a happy medium. So they brought their 3 young children here at the time to open the store. That's how they landed here, but they made it their home. Grandpa, I always hear stories about if people couldn't afford their prescription medication, he would let them make payments. He would make sure they had what they needed. He was a big supporter of all kinds of local organizations, and it was just important to him to take care of the people in the community. We were open 365 days a year, back before
Yeah, yeah.
everybody did, and it wasn't for sales. It was because
Yeah.
people in the neighborhood needed things.
Yes.
Christmas morning, you need batteries for your kids' toys.
Yeah.
People still get sick and need medication.
Yep.
So we just sort of brought our family celebrations to the store,
Yeah.
and the community came in and celebrated with us. So community was big. Customer service, taking care of people, treating them with respect,
Yes.
providing them with knowledge. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing for me. I don't just want to sell somebody something that may or may not work for them. We want to educate people into
Yeah.
what they're looking for, what can help them.
Yep.
And we can't always provide it,
Yep.
but it's important to us to give them the knowledge of where they can go. I have no problems referring them to a competitor.
Right.
If it's an insurance conflict, or if it's something that we maybe aren't specialists in,
Sure.
I'm happy to do special orders, but
Yep.
we want people taken care of even if we're not the ones to do it.
Yep.
And then just staff education and empowerment.
Sure.
We train our staff so they're not just selling an item, they understand how it works, they
Yep.
understand how to teach people how to use it, how to fit them for it. And there's certainly things that they say, well, we have to check with so-and-so for permission. But for the most part, I always tell them, you know what my values are, you know what my thoughts are normally going to be.
Yep.
So if you feel like you can answer their question, you don't
Yep.
need to come to me to confirm
Yep.
the little stuff.
So you
Take care of people.
Yeah. So you talk about customer service being a big value, and I fully appreciate that and love that. Being kind of a first generational business owner of our own company. But give me and I didn't write this down, so
Okay.
give me a story of a time where that maybe you can remember, or maybe think about that while we go through some other questions. But I'd like to hear a story, or I'd like to hear our team or audience hear a story of some of that customer service. Can you think of one?
Oh, several things. From little things, yesterday we had somebody who needed a little tubing kit for their nebulizer because they were having an asthma attack.
Oh, wow.
And it was 3:30. They were trying to get somebody to our store because our delivery driver was already completely booked up for the rest of the day and couldn't deliver it to them. And they were very stressed about making it there in time.
Yeah.
And I said, call us, a little before we close at 5, you call us. Whoever's here will stay. If we know somebody's coming, we're going to make sure. And, it was a few minutes after we locked the doors. They just knocked on the door and came in. It was a $2, $3 sale, but that wasn't what was important. The person needed the item.
Yeah.
So little things to us, big things to them.
I know what it's like in our company for me to own like an employee or a client that they come to us, and you kind of own that, you shoulder that, and so you're shouldering that, the person's health at some level and their need, and that's such a big deal and such a value to this community of Kokomo, and I have to say this because Kokomo is the city of first, right? What your grandparents were they the first? Do you think that they were the first?
The first pharmacy?
Yeah.
No, there were pharmacies long before 1955,
Sure.
And several small local ones.
Okay.
I think ours was a little different in that when we had a fire in the original store, people from Kokomo in the 70s will remember, April Fool's Day 1974, the pharmacy at the time was attached to a Marsh grocery store.
Yep.
And there was a fire, burnt the store down. So Grandpa operated the pharmacy for a year out of the back of a semi while we took over the grocery store and remodeled it.
Yep.
And so he started then adding in True Value hardware, the Hallmark greeting cards. We had makeup and perfumes. We have women that come in that use the old style makeup for years. Yeah. We had trained consultants for that. So we kind of, I don't want to call it a superstore, but it was kind of like a precursor to companies that handle a lot, but still make sure they're doing each department its justice and doing it well. So, and then the first, I think, I may be wrong, but I believe we were the first to start doing home medical equipment in October of 1975.
You need to put that on your sign. You can put that on your sign.
I need to research it.
City
Yes,
first.
yes. So it is actually also our 50th anniversary of doing home medical equipment and supplies.
Wow, that's awesome. Let's kind of wrap this up in a little bit. Do you have a favorite book or a podcast, or how are you growing personally? How do you encourage your team to grow? Talk to me a little bit about that.
I would say probably it's a little niche for us, but one of our vendors, who is, I think personally, the Cadillac of the mobility equipment that we carry is a brand named Nova, and they kind of share our values in that they want to educate. They don't just want to sell. So I follow a lot of theirs because they
Yeah.
reach out to local pharmacies,
Yeah.
especially ones that have been around for a long
Yeah.
time, to learn about the values, to learn about how to change with the times. We can't stay static. You
Yes.
have to be
Grow.
able to pivot, and I think that was one of the biggest lessons that both my mother and I learned from my grandfather is you always look ahead.
Yeah.
You're always, that was another first. He was the first pharmacy in Indiana to have prescriptions on computers.
Oh wow. Yeah.
He was actually one of the forefronts of that movement, and actually toured with the National Association to sort of get the word out and convince pharmacists this is the future, this is coming.
Yeah.
Get on board with this. It's more efficient. It allows you more time with patients and customers. But
He sounds like he was an incredible businessman.
he was. He really, really was. His father was owned dairies and a few other businesses. So he grew up in a family business as well. So I guess that was the biggest thing. I look for podcasts and books that focus on making the pivots and not just staying in your same lane. So with my staff, I always encourage them, bring me new ideas. It might not be something that we can do, but it might be.
Sure.
And, I kind of we all have our little lanes we focus on. So everybody has great ideas. And then just treating the staff, it's sort of cliche to treat them like family, but we've got people that have been with us for 20 years, so they do become family. Even our younger, newer people are really important to the business, and it's not really a boss employee, we're coworkers. I hate it when people say this is my boss. Because I feel like they're as important as I am, sometimes more so, to the business. So anything on encouraging employees and helping them excel.
Yeah, that's great. And investing in our team is such a valuable thing. Sarah, so we have the Kokomo Urban Outreach Program, and I know I just threw this on you a minute ago, but
No worries.
she's going to be thinking about some ways. Do you have an idea, or you want to wait and kind of keep thinking?
I do. We don't really do quotes and estimates that follow through on things, but if anyone wants to come in and say they heard about us on this podcast, or we're here at the home show, through the end of the month, we'll donate a percentage of their purchase to Kokomo Urban Outreach, and probably throw in a little bit extra because it's a wonderful up program.
So
and we
you
really
probably
love it.
know this, but $2,400 helps all of the process get one kid sport. I know you've heard that. You're very active with that, and so thank you for participating in this show. Thanks for giving to our non-for-profit. And if you have any questions, please come see Sarah Cotner at the home show here the next 3 days.
I'll be in and out, but our staff's all taking part in sharing the experience, and they all have their specialties, but they're all well-rounded. And thank you. I mean, I really appreciate that you've taken the lead and really turned this into a show that's promoting local vendors and kind of gathering us all together. And I know it was a lot of heavy lifting to get a new thing started, so I truly appreciate it.
We're happy to be here with a lot of great vendors, so thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.